Hey playa, starting a conversation with someone you don't know can feel like the hardest thing in the world to do sometimes. You have to have the courage to do it, the confidence to keep that conversation going, and not to mention, if you like them, the ability to attract them too. So where do you begin? Or how do you begin? Don't worry. In this video, I'm going to share a few tips on what you should do to prepare for a conversation if you have no clue what to talk to them about. Within every conversation, there's a certain structure that if followed can make the whole thing go smoothly. The basic parts to a conversation are the opening, the follow-up, and the call to action. Now, when opening a conversation, you have full control over this. You can choose whatever you want to talk about, which is why it's usually the scariest part. It doesn't have to be that way though. In fact, there are a few things that you can do to help set the narrative as to why you're talking to them and what you're hoping to get out of it. The easiest thing to talk about would be something observable. Try paying attention to what's going on around you in that moment. For example, did something interesting happen in class? Are people waiting around for some reason and get inside the lunchroom? Or are people gathering in the halls and talking about something? Making a comment or raising a question about something that the person you're talking to can observe as well allows them the opportunity to see it and comment on it too. Another thing you can start a conversation about is something relevant to culture today. For example, did a new movie just come out? Did something happen in the news? Or is there an event coming up that you're really looking forward to? Relevant topics are great things to start conversations about, usually because the average person is somewhat clued in as to what's going on, and if they're not, it gives you the opportunity to explain it to them. Most people want to generally be in the know about what's going on, and that's going to be your opportunity to take it to the next step. But before we get into that, you might be thinking, okay, that's great, but what exact words should I use to start the conversation? Personally, I think starting with a question is a great route to take. You can always say something like, hey, can I get your opinion on something? Or, hey, quick question, I wanted to know what you think about this. After asking that initial question, you can always follow up with, the reason I ask is, and then explain to them why you're curious about that topic. If you use both of those pieces, then what you've done is set up the opening and the reason as to why you're talking to that person. So they aren't sitting there going, why are they talking to me and what do they want? After opening up the conversation, you can then move into the follow-up. This is the part of the conversation that's going to vary because it really depends on the type of answers that they give. Once they give you their answer on something, try to find a way to go deeper into the conversation so you can learn more about them and keep the conversation flowing naturally. For example, if you ask someone if they saw a movie that just came out and they say, well, I want to go see it, I just haven't had the time to, that can lead you into a natural follow-up of asking them, hey, how often do you go to the movies? What was the last movie you saw in the theaters? What's your favorite movie? What kind of movies do you like to watch? The possibilities really become endless. This follow-up technique can be repeated over and over as many times as you need to, as long as the conversation doesn't become boring and dull. Along with going deeper into a conversation, you can also go wider with it. If you're talking about movies, you can expand that to TV shows, what they watch on Netflix, what kind of concerts they like to go to, who their favorite YouTubers are, and more. Finally, once that conversation has taken off and the two of you start opening up to each other, it's time to start thinking about leading into your call to action. Remember, the whole point of starting the conversation was to get to know them better, and the best way that you're going to get to know them is by hanging out with them one-on-one. Your call to action could be centered around what you guys were talking about. For example, if you're talking about movies and wanting to go see one in theaters, you can always make plans together to do that. Try to always lead the conversation into a next step, whether it's hanging out in person, meeting up for lunch, or talking online. Don't ever leave it on a note where you both just say, okay, well, bye, and that's it. What do you think though? Do you sometimes have trouble starting conversations? Which of these 3 steps do you tend to get stuck on? Leave your comment below and we'll talk about it. If you really feel stuck and don't know what to talk about at all, spend some time being mindfully aware of the world around you. See what you're curious about and bring that into the conversation. That way, if you find yourself in a situation where you completely run out of things to say, you can always jump to your curious topics. What I think is that you should start with small conversations. Start talking to people and saying hi and asking them questions. You don't need to have full-fledged conversations to start learning how to do it. Everything is small steps. So the more and more you push yourself to start conversations with people, even if they're small ones, the more it'll become second nature for you. I know you have the skill to do it. You just got to put it into practice, guys. As always, love and peace.